coming off a Final Four appearance. You bolstered the roster up with elite recruits from the transfer portal and freshmen. So when you have high expectations of being the #2 overall team, maybe not have been achieving and playing the way that they want to, but they're still a dangerous team, and he's hoping they can hit their stride.
On the other side, Porter Moser, in his 4th season as the head coach at Oklahoma, he said, our motto, we can be the best team in the country at getting better, and this is a team they like to be coached hard.
Well, Porter Moser knows his team. He has a really good team that plays well together. Unselfish basketball, understands how to play with great pace, and they play well together on both ends of the court. This is a really good team that's playing good basketball. No surprise that they're 13-0.
Ready to do this, partner?
Let's do it.
And it is Alabama wearing the home white who has won the tip. Our officials, Terry Oglesby, Rob Rourke, and Josue Nieves. A sold-out crowd here inside Coleman Coliseum for the start of SEC play. Shot clock is at 6 inside. Grant Nelson off the mark. Looks up at the clock. It's at 2. Turnaround. And Oklahoma with the board.
Really good defensive stand by Oklahoma on the first stand.
As Jalen Moore gets the scoring started for Oklahoma.
Moore returning back to his home state. He's been playing with a lot of confidence this season in his 2nd year with the Sooners.
Nelson with that funky looking release off the mark. And Stevenson with the putback for Alabama.
And that's a big plus right there for Alabama. Jaron Stevenson, a talented sophomore with so many abilities to play on the inside and outside. With him on the offensive boards and with a putback is huge for the Tide.
Jalen Moore double team stripped away. Alabama coming away with it. This is Mark Sears, pulls up in transition. Alabama takes the 3rd most three-point attempts in the country. They will get it up here tonight.
And not only do they get them up, they get them up early. When they get off in transition and like to run, if they find a shooter, they can knock it down.
Inside, Godwin is rejected by Stevenson. Good transition D by Oklahoma. This is what Oklahoma wants. They want to force Alabama to run their half-court offense. No transition. But that half-court set worked to perfection.
Really good patience there by Alabama. Mark Sears able to find a crease into the paint and drop it off. Obviously, this is a game that's heavy on the guard play. But when you talk about guards that are in familiar positions guarding each other, you're going to have to make sure to find the adjustments.
So the official stopped play because the net got stuck on the Alabama end of the floor. For Oklahoma, they've got this young freshman point guard, Jeremiah Fears, 6'4", out of Joliet, Illinois, and he's surrounded by 4 veterans.
Well, I tell you, he's playing like a veteran himself. This is a young player that plays with so much maturity. He has great end-to-end speed, and he's surprisingly strong with his ability to make defenders bounce off of him.
Here comes Fears the other way. Getting downhill fast, missing at the rim, and now Alabama looking to run. Phylon, jump off, gets it back. Corner 3-ball.
And that's what Nate Oates loves to see from his team. Getting out and running, LeBaron Phylon, unselfish play, gives it up to Sears. Sears gives it right back, 3-ball.
Kobe Elvis is the Dayton transfer. The dump inside to the big man. And Sam Godwin finishing at the rim.
That was set up right there with an excellent screen there by Sam Godwin. Does a really good job setting screens for these guards on the perimeter. And when he gets a bone, he's able to finish.
Size advantage for Jaron Stevenson at 6'10". They really want him to take advantage of that matchup at the 3 spot.
Well, he definitely is a talented player, can do so many things. But Alabama coming back in transition. LeBaron Phylon from the corner. Nothing but net.
7-4 Alabama lead here. Early going here in Tuscaloosa. Nelson once again with the shot clock winding down, and a reach-in foul is called up top. And they're going to get Miles for his first personal.
It's one of those things if you're a head coach, Porter Moser, you want to say to your team, have to play with discipline. You're at the end of the shot clock. Obviously, you have Nelson driving to the basket, the reach-in fouls, but another baseline opportunity for Alabama.
Darion Reed, the freshman, on the floor. Inside they go to Mohamed Diabate. He has been so steady in the non-conference part of the schedule for Alabama.
Diabate does a lot of the dirty work for Alabama. He comes in the game, he can guard multiple positions and finish in the paint.
Fears, just a dynamic score. Takes the bump, but he loses it. Here is Reed, missing his last game with an ankle injury, on the floor. First shot off the mark. Up ahead. And you see the athleticism from Jalen Moore.
And the beautiful pass by Duke Miles, seeing him in transition. Just the bucket that Oklahoma needed to calm things down.
Philon, baseline, finds the cutting Diabate on the floor. Scrum, calling for the timeout, but it's a jump ball. Possession arrow goes to Oklahoma.
Both teams with beautiful end-to-end action, trying to fill each out in the opener of SEC play.
It has been end-to-end. Alabama with a 3-point lead. But Jalen Moore, he can get up.
It's just going to just talk about it.
Welcome back here inside Coleman Coliseum alongside Richard Hendricks, John Schriffen. A 3-point lead for Alabama to start this game.
Both these teams trying to fill each other out in the opener of SEC play. Heavy on the guard play in this game, but you still got to find the matchup to give you an advantage.
Good D there by Chris Youngblood, the transfer from South Florida.
It's important for Youngblood to come into the game and get himself going.
Reed off the mark. It's pulled down by the freshman Fears. Fears wide open. And 3 too strong.
And that's a shot that Jeremiah Fears normally makes.
Sears throws it up at the rim, and a foul underneath called against Glenn Taylor Jr. We welcome you here to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, inside Coleman Coliseum, alongside Richard Hendricks. I'm John Schriffen. It's Alabama off to a 6-point lead here in this first half. Kobe Elvis in the corner, missing the 3. Richard, what have we seen here early on?
It's been heavy on the guard play. Both guards doing a really good job getting out in transition. This game has had a frenetic pace, but it's been the extra passes and the ball movements that have created the buckets, particularly for Alabama.
We are going to see some dynamic guards for both teams here. It's going to be a fun game.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all about getting the matches in your favor. You would think many times when you have so many guards on the court that you're able to switch it, but you'll see from both of these head coaches a lot of action to get players freed up.
Darion Reed, who missed the last game with an ankle injury for Alabama, practiced yesterday, getting game action. They say he is feeling much better on the floor, but he misses from the line. Injuries have been an issue for Alabama to start the season, but Nate Oates said because we are so deep, it hasn't really shown up yet.
Well, he's been able to get into the recruiting transfer portal and get a lot of players on this roster, and that plays to their benefit. But, of course, you want to make sure you find the chemistry when your team is starting to get healthy. Obviously, you're now in SEC play. A guy like Darion Reed will be an important player for this team moving forward.
First ever conference game for Oklahoma here in the SEC. One of 2 remaining unbeatens in the country. Elvis, look at that crossover. Lowers his shoulder. Okay, Kobe Elvis, we see you.
And that was a big-time move right there by Kobe Ellis. Had the matchup that he wanted on the perimeter, took advantage of all of the space. Here he is. He gets right to his crossover, gets downhill, takes on the bump, hoop, and the harm. Tremendous play there by Kobe Elvis.
He is the transfer from Dayton, who has played in so many big games that he is ready for an environment like this. He's also been a mentor now to Jeremiah Fears, bringing the young freshman along.
Well, Porter Moser has a really good roster and a blend of veteran players as well as some youth, and they all do a really good job of helping Jeremiah Fears be the player that he can be, all while accepting their roles. And that may be when they need to fill it up from outside and be big-time scorers or be facilitators for others.
Second unit on the floor with Alabama. And that one is tipped out of bounds. Crimson Tide with 7 on the shot clock to work with. Nate Oates said we have not been shooting the ball well as of lately. So having a guy like Aiden Holloway who's on the floor, he can really give us a spark from the outside.
And he checks right in the game. He's instant offense. As you can see, Kobe Ellis is face guarding him in the corner.
Youngblood has to give it up. The shot clock winding down. And MLB Sooners basketball.
The fans don't seem to agree with that call. This is going to be a game that's full of details. And when you're watching all of the little matchups from the scouting report that are so important, as I mentioned, the shooting ability of Aiden Holloway checking into the game was getting face guarded by Kobe Elvis on the outside.
Oh, another nasty crossover by Elvis, stripped out of bounds. 14 on the shot clock.
Elvis is starting to find a little something. He wants to continue to get the mismatch that he wants on a bigger player on the perimeter. His ability to break his man down is going to start to be something that can be huge for Oklahoma moving forward in this game.
Five-point lead for Alabama. Elvis trying to create. He's cut off. Inside they go with Wagee. And turnover.
A familiar matchup there for Mohamed Diabate facing his former teammate Mo Wagee down low in the paint. Matchup 1 to Diabate.
Students are not in session yet here at Alabama. But they still showed up, a sold-out crowd here at Coleman Coliseum. 3-ball on the way off the mark. Sears was able to keep it alive. Another possession for Alabama. Porter Moser told us before the game, he said it's not just the threes that go up. Alabama gets 41% of their misses on those shots. We've got to rebound.
Well, they do a really good job of understanding where the ball is coming off the rim. It's hard to box out players that are on the perimeter when they crash. And Alabama does a really good job of tracking down the loose balls.
Stevenson with the size advantage. Oh! Well, he came over with the volleyball block. Youngblood, the South Florida transfer. He will fire. Counting Diabate.
Excellent cut by Mo Diabate from the high post. You've been seeing some action from Alabama in this game.
Elvis high off the glass. He has been the best player on the floor for Oklahoma.
And there's a mismatch that Kobe Elvis, he realized he has is when he has a bigger player on the perimeter. On the offensive end for Alabama, you've been seeing some things that you don't really see from a Nate Oates offense. Obviously, he's known for playing at a fast pace, shooting from the outside, but he's been generating some points for his team by throwing the ball into the paint and getting some post-ups against smaller players.
Watch the Oklahoma shoot-around today. The focus was Alabama is elite in the first 6 to 10 seconds of the shot clock. Make them play in the half-court offense. But Sears can get downhill and do that.
And that's something that you hate to see if you're Oklahoma. Mark Sears using his left hand, a strong left-hand driver, able to get his shoulder into the defender and get all the way to the cup.
Fears has not been able to get going yet off the mark. He is now 0 for 5 from the floor to start this game. Nice spin move. Diabate with 2 on him. No call.
Great job by Oklahoma coming over and showing bodies.
This is conference play. They're gonna let them things go a little bit. You're not gonna get a whistle every time down.
As it should be. These are two high-level teams. Obviously, you talk about an undefeated team in the country with Oklahoma and a top 5 team in Alabama. You got to let them solve it on the court.
Good D by Aiden Holloway. As a timeout on the floor, 5th-ranked Alabama with an early 7-point lead here in Tuscaloosa. Sway Nieves, they are looking for, on that last play down the floor, after the shot went up, some activity going back the other way. As we take a look at it, Richard.
Players, Mo Diabate needs to grab the leg of Jeremiah Fears as Fears is pleading to the official.
So the officials went to the monitor during the commercial break for a potential flagrant foul. So it has been upgraded. It is a flagrant foul on Mohamed Diabate after he grabbed the leg of Jeremiah Fears. You said it. It just was not a basketball play.
Not a basketball play at all. And for Oklahoma, this is a huge shift for him. A potential opportunity to hit free throws, get the ball back, get some momentum. Alabama seemed to be on a bit of a surge. This is exactly a moment that the Sooners need to capitalize on.
And for Jeremiah Fears, who is still scoreless, a chance to go to the free throw line and get going here in this ball game.
And a good decision to select Fears to be the shooter. Hopefully he can get some rhythm and get going.
Fears leads this team in scoring, over 18 points per game. All right, one more look at that flagrant foul called against Diabate.
An unnecessary play by Mo Diabate as he felt like it was probably a foul called on there, but there he is grabbing the leg of Jeremiah Fears. Unnecessary play. Ball back to Oklahoma.
Miles gets into the lane, has to throw it high off the window, fighting underneath his Godwin, but it's Alabama with the board. Nelson throws it out top. And that's Clifford Amori with the jam.
That's a beautiful play. You got a point forward in Grant Nelson who can facilitate for others. That 4-5 action, throwing the alley-oop over top. Amori with the hammer.
Fears has not had any space to get going, so it's Moore. He has that rejected by Nelson. Moore trying to come back at him with 8 on the shot clock. Spinning baseline, cut off, throws up a wild one. Godwin with the board and puts it in. What a fight by Sam Godwin.
And that's exactly what Sam Godwin does. He understands his role on this team. He does a lot of the dirty work. Here he is once again on the offensive boards.
Nelson trying to get his own miss. And a jump ball as the ball is pinned.
A little bit of big-to-big action. Grant Nelson up top to Clifford Amori. Beautiful work by the two bigs from Alabama.
Amori, the Rutgers transfer. They said they've got to be careful with his minutes because it's a very different style from the Big Ten to now playing here in the SEC.
Much more up-tempo from what he's used to playing at Rutgers now that he's here in Nate Oates' system.
Aiden Holloway with a nice teardrop. Alabama with a 21-13 lead as we approach 10 minutes to play in this first half.
Holloway is a player that can come off the bench and score in bunches.
Miles with 2 on him. And Stevenson called for the foul.
That was a beautiful play there by Oklahoma. Ball moving from one side to the other. Duke Miles driving downhill. And he will get to shoot for 2 as he was fouled at the cup.
Duke Miles, the High Point transfer. They call him the X factor on this team as he is the guy who is guarding Mark Sears all ball game. And he makes the first. We cap off our first full slate of conference matchups next, right here on the SEC Network, with the Lone Star State rivalry game between Texas and number 13, Texas A&M. What a slate of basketball in the SEC today.
You know, every single game that you're going to have at this conference is going to be must-see TV. Obviously, really good players all throughout the conference, but the coaching is high level. Oklahoma showing a little bit of three-quarter pressure to slow down the transition offense of Alabama.
Phylon gives it back to Amori, who throws it down.
And that's beautiful footwork by Clifford Amori on that screen roll in the corner, slipping it. Nice pass, putting it on the deck.
Fears bumping, no call. And a foul as Godwin goes to the rim. The crowd not happy with that one as Phylon.
And the crowd seems to think that should have been an offensive foul. As Godwin was able to go up, takes a little bit of a hit, is going back to the free throw line. That screen roll action in the baseline, good footwork by Amori. It's important to get out and near the corner to clear out quickly. And the rejection, the foul on Alabama.
Sam Godwin is the former Wofford transfer, decided to come back to Oklahoma, where he's from, and said, I want to come back so bad, I will walk on. He walked on and now earned himself a scholarship. What a story.
He's done a tremendous job, and he fits in well with what this roster has. This is not necessarily the roster that Porter Moser thought he would have in the beginning of the season due to some injuries, but he's been surprised and pleasantly surprised with their ability to play well with each other.
Phylon off the mark, and Fears tracks down the miss. Elvis has done a nice job penetrating. No look pass, but Godwin can't finish. Sears, he is so tough with the ball, gives it up. Amori, and he has been active early for Alabama. He now has 6.
And Amori trailed right down the middle of the paint. He was right in the right spot as Sears jumped in the air, got stuck. Beautiful finish with the left hand.
This is what a sold-out Coleman Coliseum sounds like.
Wow. High-level defensive work by Grant Nelson, finishing off the block, and that's why OU is 1 of 8 on their last possessions. Beautiful work by Grant Nelson, and the ball is out of bounds. Back to Alabama.
Sears, the step back, gives it up, and said it's Nelson with 2 hands.
Wow. Alabama feeling it, sharing the ball, and it's Grant Nelson with a strong drive on the baseline.
Largest lead of the game for the Crimson. Drills very limited shooting. Offensively, he was very detailed with what they wanted to do. Defensively, also very detailed. A lot of talking. He gets his guys locked in.
Well, you can tell he's a teacher when he teaches the game, and he gets his players focusing on every single aspect. So many details that they need to do, and they understand exactly where they need to be. Expected adjustments to be made.
Fears is still looking for his first field goal. Good eye on the drive, high up, missing, and a strong board for Amori. Sears shakes his defender. He finds Phylon open from 3. Sit down.
That's excellent basketball right there. Good patience, good transition defense there by Oklahoma, but Alabama playing with pace, takes their time, finds the open man, Phylon, knocking it down.
Largest lead of the game, but Moore with the 3 to bring it back to 11.
That's a big shot right there for Jalen Moore. And no bigger that Oklahoma needs it at this moment right now.
All the attention that Sears gets when he has the ball in his hands. Free ball falls for Grant Nelson.
Grant Nelson, who's been playing some high-level basketball as of late, starting very well, a two-way player who's starting to hit his stride.
The key for him, can he stay out of foul trouble and stay on the floor for Alabama?
OU is getting some good looks as they're not able to knock that one down from the corner.
Sears, when he gets going in, it's tough, but Fears at 6'4" has that length to come over for the block.
Well, he's had big-time ability. Right now, his offensive game is ahead of his defensive game. Here's a peek at Grant Nelson and his offense lining one up from the outside.
He gets applause from the crowd as he gets a breather. Perfect 3 of 3 from the 4 of 4 from the floor with 8 points. He'll be fouled and get a trip to the free throw line.
Peek at the explosive first step of LeBaron Philon. This is the freshman that the coaching staff raves about. He has the ability to not only create for himself, but he can create for others. He's a legitimate two-way player. Came in on obviously with a freshman class with other McDonald's All-Americans, but he's been the freshman that they think has a very, very high upside.
You know, it was interesting. Nate Oates told us when he started the season, defense was his calling card. Now his offense has started to pick up, and notice the defense falling back a little bit. They said they want him to be strong at both ends of the floor. Nelson can't corral it, and it's going to be Oklahoma ball.
It's the consistency you have to find as a young player. Oftentimes you find your rhythm, and when you find your rhythm, particularly on the offensive end, it's easy to fall in love with that. But to be a good player, you have to try to be an all-around player, which requires focus on both ends of the court.
Fears with a mismatch, goes high off the glass, off the mark. He is 0 for 6 to start this game.
Alabama with numbers coming down in transition.
Philon thought about it. Instead, they decide to run the offense. Youngblood hits the 3. Nate Oates says that's the guy we would love to get going, the South Florida transfer.
Well, this is a guy who was the co-AAC Player of the Year. Was on a team that played really well for South Florida, and here he is now coming off a foot injury, but now he's back trying to catch his rhythm.
And hit back-to-back, and the rebound to Moore. Fears open, pulls from deep. And he's complaining to the officials. He thought there was contact there. Sears. And a good board underneath as they called. No, excuse me. They say stay here as the foul goes against Fears.
That play started from the very, very beginning with Fears and his missed three-pointer. Chris Youngblood running all the way down, posting up, continued to work, didn't get the ball, but the offensive rebound, he battled and drew the foul.
So for Fears, that's
call on the court is a common foul. That play's under review.
second personal foul called against Fears as the officials will once again now go to the monitor to take a look and see if that will potentially get upgraded. All right, Richard, walk us through this. What do you see?
Seems to be a little bit of contact to the head and neck area. I don't know if that was intentional. But as they get a little bit better view on the blocks out, you know, from my estimate, I don't know if I would upgrade this. I think I would keep it as a common foul on Fears and just take the ball out on the baseline out of bounds for Alabama. I mean, they're battling for the rebound. If you can look at the attention of Fears, he's focusing, trying to get the rebound in that moment.
Common foul on 0.
And I think that's a good call there by this officiating crew to just keep that as a common foul and not upgrade it. Fears didn't have any type of malicious intent going for that offensive rebound, just battling, got in the wrong area.
But you called it. You sensed frustration starting to build for the freshman Fears after that missed three.
That play started as soon as Fears missed the shot. As opposed to missing it and hustling back on defense, he allowed Chris Youngblood to get the first step down the court on the offensive end. Youngblood went down, posted up, sealed for the ball, asked for it. He didn't get it, but he continued to work after the shot was taken by Mark Sears, and it ends up resulting in a foul. If you're a young player like Fears, you have to continue to play through the struggles, and he'll learn that as he gets more reps.
So Fears will have to take a seat on the bench with 2 fouls to finish this first half. We approach 5 minutes to play.
Pump fake. Fundamentals on display. Darion Reed put it on the deck. Wow.
I'd say that ankle's looking pretty good.
But that's how it feels a lot better. Get you a high percentage shot at the cup.
Elvis with a deep 2 as Alabama's lead is at 16. Phylon penetrating with the left, rolls off, and he'll be fouled on the putback attempt.
Porter Moser spoke highly on the offensive rebounding of Alabama. You have to keep them on the boards, off the boards. They continue to battle. Look at this beautiful pump fake by Darion Reed. Nice throwdown at the cup. Tremendous freshman.
Phylon, the freshman from Mobile, Alabama, makes the first. They've been stressing with him taking the right type of shots. They love his aggression. They love how he attacks. But see the floor and how can you create for other players?
Well, a lot of that comes with experience. And when you have young players who are so dynamic, you have to allow them to play. But at the same time, you have to figure out how do you play within the structure. Every shot is not a good shot. And oftentimes when people watch Nate Oates' offense, it comes across that you play up tempo and you're shooting a lot of threes. But you can still get a better three-point look within the fast-paced offense. And mainly it's going to come off the pass rather than off the dribble.
A little too aggressive on that handoff defensively as the foul called against Youngblood. All right, 4:25 to play in this first half. If you're Oklahoma, how do you cut into this deficit?
Well, you're going to have to pick up your defensive pressure. They did some really good things after a made free throw, jumped into a little bit of press. You have to slow down Alabama coming down in transition. If you make them play a little bit more in the half court, then obviously it starts to tilt into your favor. But you have to box out. The offensive rebounders have been making Oklahoma play. Bama has 7 of them already in the game.
Elvis has been very shifty to start this game, getting in the paint whenever he wants. Shot clock's at 10 for the Sooners. Using the screen from Godwin. Now inside to the big man off the switch, puts it up and in. Nice play by Oklahoma.
Great job finding the advantage. Alabama elected to switch at the end of that pick and roll action, which gave them the mismatch. Godwin, with the smaller player, scores in the paint.
Nelson hesitated, but he still makes the three.
Now, this is the challenge if you're Oklahoma. It makes you drop your head. When Alabama's hitting threes from the outside with their 4 and 5 men, that's when they are elite.
Elvis, another job penetrating. He's up to 8 now for Oklahoma to lead the way. Phylon showing the patience. Now he goes on Godwin, makes the stop on 2 feet. Youngblood pulls it. This is everything. Phylon with the board and puts it up and in. Those are the misses that Oklahoma was talking about. You have to box out on the threes.
They're backbreakers. You have to know where you are when you're boxing out Alabama. They're going to crash the boards from the outside, getting the second chance points. Alabama
switching everything now. Godwin 3 on the shot clock, and it rolls in.
Good patience. Fumbled the ball a little bit, but showed some poise under pressure. Godwin starting to catch a little rhythm.
Oklahoma with a stop. Trying to convert now on this end. Elvis had that pass deflected, picked off. Youngblood. We approach 2 minutes to play in this first half. Philon lost his man. Kick out is to Stevenson. And Nelson tips out to Oklahoma. Miles goes 1-on-2 and throws it away.
Alabama with numbers.
Here comes Reed. On these 50-50 balls, they seem to be going Alabama's way in this first half.
Alabama has been the more spirited team, and they've been able to do it from the opening tip. But it's not just the 50-50 balls. They've been shooting the ball from the outside very well. And when you get it going from your bigs, lining it up like Grant Nelson, you're going to be in good shape. But I think there's a few teams at the top, and this Alabama Crimson Tide team is looking like another one.
And that's why Nate Oates told us in shoot-around today that he feels like they're flying under the radar with teams talking about Auburn, people talking about Tennessee, talking about Kentucky. He said, this is where we want to be. And he said, the 2 years that we won it, he said, this is the same type of format. A couple losses in the offseason, in the non-conference. We purposely have a tough schedule to see how ready we are. He said, but it's time to turn it on in conference play.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, when you talk about flying under the radar, how can a top 5 team fly under the radar? Well, it's when the number 1 and the number 2 team are also within your conference. That definitely makes you fly under the radar. But this is a team that has challenged itself. They played true road games. They played high-level neutral site games. And now they're in conference play, playing an undefeated team and being in big-time control.
That's the first personal called against Mark Sears, and the 6th team foul on Alabama. So the next one will send Oklahoma to the line. Are you surprised about this score here in this first half?
A little bit. Now, I will say this. Alabama is a team that has more talent than Oklahoma. But Oklahoma plays very well together. But this is what you can see when Alabama plays to their potential. When they get the outside shooting going from their bigs, they play very well defensively. They rebound and play with effort. They can beat any team in the country and beat them, handedly. I expect some more adjustments to be made from Oklahoma, but obviously this is a road game in the Southeastern Conference, and it's very, very hard to win on the road.
So the second personal foul called against Duke Miles of Oklahoma. Porter Moser said something he's very proud of. Last season, the Sooners did not have a single loss outside of Quad 1. He said, we are trying to repeat that again this year.
Well, he's a coach who's definitely going to have his teams well prepared. And obviously, he's been able to play several SEC teams. He's played 6 times against SEC opponents in recent years, so he has a lot of experience.
Lead for Alabama in this first half. So the officials stop play to make sure that the clock is correct. And it's 1:06 to play in this first half. I think the biggest surprise for Oklahoma is Jeremiah Fears. 1 point in this first half, 0 for 7 on the bench now with 2 fouls. Nice pass inside as Godwin throws it down.
And the catch and finish by Sam Godwin was impressive. Catching the ball high and Poe going right up for the slam with 2 hands.
Holloway with the defender on his hip and a skying rebound for Moore. Oklahoma with numbers, running more, left hand, and Godwin tips it in. They're going to score the bucket, and they're going to review it on the next stoppage of play.
And I think that's a good call, because from my view, I think that was a clean putback. I know it seems as if it might have been within the cylinder, but they'll get another look at that one, and I think it was good.
Six-second differential between shot and game clock. What does Alabama want to do here?
You want to make sure you get something with Mark Sears going downhill. I'm sure they're going to go with some type of ball screen or go screen where they slip it and see if you can get moving. There's a split right there. There's another one.
There goes Sears, 3 seconds off his foot. Nelson has to get it up. And a shot clock violation. 5.4 seconds to play in this first half for Oklahoma.
Substitution being made. These special situations are important. You want to see if you can get some type of momentum. 5.4 to go. You have to go the length of the court. You still want to get a quality shot.
So Oklahoma with shooters on the floor.
And a lot of time. This is a lot of time. You can get all the way to the cup with ease. You don't want to rush. You want to make sure you're patient. Alabama trying to play a little pressure defense. Good decision by Nate Oates.
Moore has it. 3 seconds. 2 seconds. Has to get it off. And does not get it to go. What a statement half by Alabama. 5th-ranked team in the country, up 48-31 heading into the locker rooms.
Alabama's done some really good things, particularly on the defensive end, holding Oklahoma to 38% shooting in the first half. They'll have to continue to keep the pressure on. Expect some more.
Oklahoma team just 1.0 of 7 from the floor. How do they get him going to start the second half?
Well, it's been a struggle for Oklahoma to manufacture easy buckets. It's been because of the intensity of Alabama on the defensive end. They're going to have to get him freed up. He's going to have to be a little bit more aggressive driving to the basket, trying to get some fouls and go to the free throw line. When he can do that, he can get his confidence going, and then he'll be able to hit the outside shot.
Got to credit the defense of LeBaron Philon. Hand in the face, forcing the miss. And that's going to be off Godwin, Alabama ball.
You see the hustle of Sam Godwin almost came up with another possession there for Oklahoma. But Jeremiah Fears electing to shoot that outside shot. You want to get a high percentage shot. See if you can get fouled. He has a strong upper body. If he can finish at the cup, then he can finally get himself on the board with the field goal.
Nelson made a huge impact in that first half. He will dribble out of that double team. Stevenson, huge size advantage. Here comes the double on him in the post. Fighting through it, gets his own miss, but he's stripped down low. Oklahoma with numbers 3-on-1, and they finish in transition with Jalen Moore.
Great defense there by the Sooners, converging in on Stevenson in the low post and turning defense to offense. Alabama's been trying to manufacture some outside shots by way of the post-up, something you don't see too often from Nate Oates' team.
As Godwin with the reach and foul, bumping Sears.
You can see the intensity has picked up for Oklahoma in the first few possessions. Multiple traps, doubling in the low post, hard hedging on ball screens. This might be the strategy that they're going to need to try to get back into this game.
Philon comes to a stop. Nelson launches, nothing but nylon. 10 points now for Grant Nelson.
And big shots. He's been hitting them in moments when they need him most. Obviously, you see Oklahoma starting to get a little bit of confidence in the surge defensively. And when the big man can knock it down, that's a huge plus for Alabama.
Moore spinning through the contact, and then he flexes on it.
Yes, he did.
Isn't he down by a lot?
Wow. I mean, listen, sometimes as a player, you might be losing, but it might take a little bit of something to get the juice going to get you back into the game.
Banging, and it's Nelson with the offensive rebound. Sears just too strong. And one. He said, this is how you flex on it.
Absolutely. Wow.
foul.
Now, this is a strong left-hand driver, but he sets this play up by going to his right. Here he is. On one end, you see the flex action. Jalen Moore with the beautiful, letting you know, hey, I got some moves, but it's Mark Sears with the and one. He goes, weight room.
I don't know if it really comes across on TV how strong Mark Sears is. When we saw him in shoot-around without the jersey on, just kind of like the underneath shirt, he looks like a running back.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, honestly, pound for pound, he might be one of the strongest players that we have in the collegiate game. You know, he's not very tall, but his ability to get downhill and finish with outstanding explosion at the cup is elite.
Moore. Nice floater off the mark, and Sears looking to push the pace. A dime with a hand to the deck, and Godwin will be called for the foul underneath. That'll be his second.
There's a little piece that looked like Mark Sears as his parents are able to look on at their son, who's been doing a tremendous job in this game. And quite frankly, for his entire collegiate career, starting at Ohio as well as here at the University of Alabama. But so shifty, and when he can come downhill and shift from one side to another, he gets the defender on his hip. And when he does that, he takes you for a ride.
Nate Oates has really challenged him here in his final season. Deep one there. He said those are the kind of shots when you take bad shots. I want to improve your shot selection. This one closer in the lane off the mark, and Morey has been active. That's no bucket. The whistle was called on the floor.
The crowd was so loud that Clifford Amore didn't even hear the whistle from the official. He thought he had a putback and was ready to head back on the defensive end.
Look at Philon. He said, let me hear it. Philon puts it on the deck. His runner, as Amore gets out of the way of that one.
Good decision. Something you don't see too often from an Alabama team. The mid-range shot. Amore thinking that was an alley-oop. Did a really good job of laying out. And Sears with the teardrop.
Sears lost that one going up. Philon, 3 ball. And the long rebound. It's punched out Jalen Moore. It's showtime.
Big basket by Jalen Moore. Been able to get some things going.
Sears showing that patience. Now going back to the rim. Cuffs it. And he gets the whistle. Tell he wanted to go baseline and was not going to be denied.
Well, it's the physicality that you speak on. You talk about his ability to be able to take a hit and also dish it out. It's able to turn the corner, come up for the reverse, goes to the free throw line at a high clip, and when he gets there, he can make it. He can knock it down. He comes from an athletic family. Father Chad Sears played football in college at University of North Alabama. Has some cousins, Kevin, Aaron Sears, who played in SEC at Auburn and Tennessee, respectively. So he understands what it's like to be a high-level athlete, as we can look at Lamika Sears.
She said, oh, that's all. No, that's good. That's like. I saw you at shoot-around watching your kids' games as well.
Well, listen, you got to be a supportive parent, and you see the fans coming and checking out one of the top players in the conference. So, obviously, it's got to be a joy to watch the players your kids on the highest level play the game they love.
Elvis shrugs off the D. Moore, he will pull with a hand in his face, knocks it down as Jalen Moore trying to step up his game in the second half. 16 points to lead the way for Oklahoma. Youngblood. And another long offensive rebound.
Youngblood's momentum was falling backwards on that three-point attempt. That's why it went short. Got to get your momentum going towards the basket.
Good job staying in front. Philon from the corner off the mark. Youngblood, another offensive rebound. How about What a tip in from Darion Reed.
It's that type of blue-collar work from Darion Reed that the coaching staff loves. A high-energy player, versatile on the defensive end, and relentless on the O boards.
Richard, Alabama just comes at you in waves. They are so deep on the bench. A little more fighting for, but it's safe to Alabama. Youngblood says, "Get off me."
That's a huge play by Chris Youngblood. His physical presence on both ends of the court is going to be important as Alabama moves forward in SEC play. Oklahoma's going to have to settle down offensively. They seem a little bit out of sorts. They're not able to get a quality shot. They have to continue to trust themselves. This is a team that's been there before as they played in this season so far. Settle down and run your offense.
A bump called on Youngblood in the post.
It's the energy that Alabama has had here in the second half, and there it is. Chris Youngblood gets one, but he doesn't able to drop it down, but it's Darion Reed who's getting physical in the paint. Youngblood, the strong finish. About 16 offensive rebounds for Alabama. 17.
He's getting to clear out the free throw line, decides to give it up. 10 on the shot clock for the Sooners. Getting it back to Moore, and he's going to be fouled inside by Aiden Sherrill.
If I was playing, I'd hope that the stats would say it was 18-19. Didn't actually.
Had some moments in that first half. He'll take a deep three here, leaves it short, and Moore with the long board. Sears gets in there, and a jump ball, possession arrow to Alabama. He even held that thing high and tight like a running back.
He definitely did. You know, in the fight, you know, to try to come away, it's like a fumble that's on the ground. He's going to fight for it to the last bit.
Freshman from Detroit, Michigan, getting some minutes now off the bench.
And that's good recognition. And you can see head coach Nate Oates saying to Aiden Sherrill, go ahead and dunk that. This is a young player at 6'11", 240 pounds who has a sweet outside touch. Hasn't shot it well this season, but the next level his game has to be more physicality and aggression, attacking the paint and finishing with thunderous dunks at the rim.
I know that's a subject you are very passionate about, because I've watched some of your highlights.
You can tell.
You look like you want to rip the rim down when you dunk.
You're supposed to. And, you know, if there's one thing that bothers me the most about this new era of basketball, it's way too much finesse. You know, when you come through the days of watching Jordan and Shaq and all of these other players, when you get a chance to dunk the ball, you need to try to rip the whole support down and come with some authority. And if you do that one time, what happens is you won't have any shot blockers getting in your way the next time. So as Aiden Sherrill continues to grow his game, that's how you have to attack the rim.
Hesitation, and a goaltend called on Sherrill. So count the basket for Oklahoma.
Good move there by Duke Miles. Able to get something going. You know, unfortunately for Oklahoma, this has been a game where they have not been able to find things within the structure of their offense. Now, they've been able to have players such as Kobe Ellis and Duke Miles who've been able to get a bucket outside of the structure with some individual action. But you're going to have to continue to trust your action and try to work together as a team.
Three ball falls. Aiden Holloway.
Instant offense when he checks right in. He's always locked and loaded. Can shoot it from beyond NBA range.
And here's Sears with the steal. 2-on-1 break. Throwing it up. She gets it.
Big time play. Mark Sears going up top to Darion Reed.
What an opening to conference play for Alabama. And coming up next, we will go behind the... You finish here 2008 as we take a look at the goaltending that the officials took another look at. And it did hit the backboard first after Sherrill touched it. But you're in 2008, and the changes that you've seen, and now a new practice facility being built just for the men's basketball team underway.
Well, the commitment that they've had here at the University of Alabama when it comes to basketball has been tremendous. This is a program that has obviously had really good players, really good coaches for a long period of time. As Bryson Goodine is able to knock one down from the outside, but now you've been able to see it go to the next level. And obviously with Alabama and Nate Oates and what they've been able to do to get multiple championships in recent years and go to a Final Four, the commitment has really paid off.
Shot clock's winding down. This is Reed with his back to the basket, turning, facing off the mark. And the board for Taylor Jr. Off the window, plus the foul. Duke Miles, another one of these veteran guards, the transfer from High Point, still fighting here in the second half.
So much experience. He brings a level of poise to this team as he was able to settle down right there in that offense, find the corner, and use his body to draw some contact, and then finish with tremendous strength with the shot.
Miles converting the three-point play for Oklahoma.
Both teams starting to find their offense in recent possessions. In a game where Alabama has played really good defense, Oklahoma has really been able to turn it on with field goals.
And Diabate talking to Taylor Jr. It's been a different tone, certainly, in this second half.
Most definitely. And Alabama came out with the same type of physical tone. But as we said, this is a team in Oklahoma that they're prideful. They're obviously 13-0. The question has been, have they been challenged in the on-conference? I think they have played some really good games where they've showed some resilience against particularly Arizona and Michigan when they came down from double figures in those games to win those games. But playing Alabama on the road in SEC play has been a little bit different so far. I expect them to have a little bit more of a punch.
His own putback.
Good activity there by Aiden Sherrill. Not able to make the first one. Able to stick with it and come up with the bucket.
Porter Moser is pleading for a foul as Alabama, he feels like, has been hounding his guards all game long. We will step aside. It's the 5th-ranked team in the country, Alabama, up big. Games this season, SEC is just completely stacked.
Talk about around this league, big-time performances in the opener. Obviously, Tennessee getting it done, a tough one. To talk about the Florida and Kentucky. Florida no longer undefeated. Kentucky getting that one done, 106-100. Mark Pope and his team doing really good basketball, balanced attack against what Florida has in those guard plays with Walter Clayton, as well as Elijah Martin.
Jeremiah Fears back on the floor for Oklahoma, spinning away from the D, and that is his first field goal of the game. Comes here almost midway into the second half.
And it was a tough shot, you know, a high degree of difficulty, and there's the veteran taking it to the rookie as Sears and Fears having a little bit of jawing back and forth.
Oh, and then Sears gets a hard screen from Godwin.
Get your head on a swivel.
Fears, pump fake, and a step-back three. He's now hit back-to-back shots. Maybe now we will see the freshman get going.
Well, you got a little duel, but, you know, the big man Godwin looks out for the young fella, said, I got you.
Touch pass, Sherrill. And a jump ball is called. Possession arrow goes to Oklahoma.
Sears still shaking up a little bit from that screen from Sam Godwin. That's one of those things as he's looking back, speaking to Clifford and Moore, he's saying, hey, big fella, you got to call that one out. But, you know, guards always pointed to the big men being their fault. You know, it's always how it goes.
Is there a story you'd like to talk about?
Well, you know.
Speaking from experience, Holloway bringing it up the floor. And taken away by Godine. But it's Alabama hustling to get it back. Holloway, baseline, cut off, and a steal as Godwin will throw it off.
And
save the ball for the Sooners.
So impressed with Sam Godwin's ability. In a game where they've not been out of sorts, he's been a constant, and it's all about his effort and the IQ of reading what things are going on. He knew where that ball was going to go to the corner in the bailout spot. He took a beeline right into the route, intercepted that, threw it off the man, ball back to Oklahoma.
Godwin, second leading scorer for Oklahoma with 11 points. And Fears is bumped by Philon.
Oklahoma is starting to feel a little bit of rhythm. And one thing with this Alabama team all season long, they have had a hard time keeping leads in the second half. Multiple games they've had double-digit leads and seem to have let teams get back into the game. They'll have to continue to try to run their offense, but Oklahoma is starting to make a surge.
Still over 10 minutes to play in the second half. Plenty of time. Fears wants it with 6 on the shot clock. That's defender on his hip. And the elbow jumper goes. That's now 3 in a row for Fears.
And you see the ability of the strength that he has. He's playing against a strong guard, but able to create that separation with just a little nudge.
Philon, and a two-handed slam from Clifford Amori.
Big-time playmaking ability. LeBaron Philon, head up, drops it off to the big for the hammer.
He's a perfect 5 of 5 from the floor with 10 points. Extra pass is to Duke Miles. Too strong on the 3, and Nelson rips it away. Philon looked back, Euro step, and he got hit in the jaw.
And that was a savvy move, to look back to try to freeze the defense to see if they wanted to step up and guard Mark Sears. Then he turns the corner, able to get a piece of the paint and draws the foul back to the free throw line.
So it looked like Chris Youngblood was saying something to no one but to everyone after that hard foul, and now the officials are going to get in between. As we look at the foul, and the officials will send both teams to their benches, and they will take another look at that last play. It was Youngblood trying to protect his teammate, saying something after that hard foul. And the officials have now stopped play.
Well, see, these are the moments when you have to go and review it.
Call on the court is a common foul. That call's under review. Thank you.
So this great crew of Terry Oglesby, Rob Rourke, and Josue Nieves are going to the monitor again to look for a potential flagrant foul. Richard, walk me through it.
I think it's a little bit extra physicality coming from Jalen Moore. He gives it a check across the chest. I do think this one will be upgraded. Had an opportunity to make a play on the ball, but a shot there to the, I guess you can say, to the neck area. Good strength and concentration by Philon to still try to stick with that to get that one up on the boards.
Did he get faked out by the Euro, which caused that kind of contact, or did he stick out that wing intentionally?
I think they're a bang-bang play, and I'm with you. I do think that it is something that was not as intentional to try to deliver that blow. But as they probably go and look at it by the letter of the law, I think it's going to be something that it's going to be an upgrade in this situation. I can tell you from my old school players in here that's probably in the building, they're saying, hey, that's just when you shoot the free throws and put it on the side and you keep the game going. And to a degree, I have that mentality as well. Because what happens in these moments is the teams get an extra timeout to make an adjustment.
Nieves explained it to us. Unnecessary contact. It is upgraded to a flagrant 1 foul called against Jalen Moore of Oklahoma.
Just as I suspected. I mean, in just a moment where when you look at it on the film in slow motion, by the letter of the law, that's what it's going to be upgraded to a flagrant 1. Now, I don't think there was any intention.
Call's been upgraded to a flagrant 1.
This is a moment that you can see head coach Porter Moser is going to talk about this one. I know that there didn't seem to be much intent, and his team was playing really good basketball. They've been 6 out of 8 on their last field goal attempts, started to get a little bit of rhythm, cut into this lead. In the moment now where the momentum can switch back over to Alabama, going to the free throw line. Big moment here as far as momentum is concerned.
All right, Rich, you want to know how physical this game has become? How about a little tiger stripes on the arm of Grant Nelson?
Well, that just comes with it. Listen, when you're battling, when you're trying to get on the O boards, when you're trying to win a game in Southeastern Conference play, it's going to get physical. You have to expect this type of play if you're going to try to win games, and that's what it's going to take. That level of commitment and physicality and intensity night in, night out.
Grant Nelson has been everywhere. 10 points, 9 rebounds. And even when he doesn't corral the rebound, tips it alive, keeps it. As Phylon knocks down the first. You're saying that's just par for the course here in the SEC?
Yes. I mean, you have to have some type of physicality. And to be honest, when you look at teams that are going to be some of the last teams standing, when you play with the physical presence, you give yourself a chance to compete against multiple play styles. Defense is something that can travel, and you have to be able to rebound in the paint. So when you have that level of physicality, it's important.
Hello, Euro. Mark Sears getting to the cup.
It's the deceleration. You talk about him able to go downhill, but stop on the dime, switch his speeds, and then find a crease for the layup. Phenomenal.
Up top, and Godwin throws it down. Nice alley-oop. The find from Jeremiah Fears.
You know, we talked to this coaching staff, and they say Sam Godwin is sneaky athletic. Well, I tell you, there was nothing sneaky about that.
Rising up on the other end. It looked like Oklahoma making a run, trying to come back into this game, but Alabama has certainly answered.
Well, they're trading baskets, and if you're the Sooners, you have to put stops together. You have to continue to try to grind in the half-court set, make it difficult for Alabama, because both teams are getting easy buckets right now.
Fears, good find to Godwin, missing, gets his own miss, up and in. Godwin continues his scoring. He's up to 15 now.
Gotta love it. Sam Godwin has been playing from the opening tip with putbacks early on, and here he is, gets times for a foul, trying to hedge out on Mark Sears. But still, the energy and effort has been there from the beginning from Godwin.
So many ways you can describe Mark Sears as a point guard, but he's just so steady, right? I mean, that's the one that really sticks out for me, his ability to control the ball, hounded by pressure, and then draw fouls.
Well, when you're a big-time scorer, it takes a strategy to do so. You know, you have to find a way of how are you going to figure out a way to get your point production and get your buckets. Mark Sears is a veteran. He understands how to do so. It's a recipe. You got to get some outside shots from the outside. You got to get some transition layups and put your head down and get to the basket. And then you have to get to the free throw line at a high clip and get points going from there. That's how he's such a consistent offensive player.
Whistle called inside, away from the ball. Foul called against Youngblood. It'll be his third. What was this night like every year? Getting ready for the opening of SEC play.
Well, it's a new season. You know, this is a moment that regardless if you how you've done in non-conference play, it's a new season. You know that it's going to be a higher level of intensity. The ante has risen. You have to make sure that you're ready to play. And if you haven't done what you need to do in the non-conference slate, you now have an opportunity to try to keep the pace and see what you can do in league play to come up with a regular season championship.
8 minutes to play here in the second half. Fears probing his flip off the rim. Nelson. And another offensive rebound as Sears resets. Youngblood might have walked with it. Now gets to the cup and off the window.
I like that. That's a beautiful move right there by Chris Youngblood. Took his time, extended the ball away from the shot blocker, and a beautiful scoop shot high off the glass.
Back is Kobe Elvis. And he's now in double figures with 10.
I've been impressed with Kobe Elvis. His buckets are loud. He takes his man one-on-one, shift, he can get downhill and create with a soft touch.
That was Nelson again, tipping it off of Oklahoma to keep the possession alive.
Chris Youngblood loving it here with some beautiful moves. The pump fake, putting it on the deck, and the scoop high off the glass. Beautiful touch by Youngblood. Well, so many teams that they're talking about obviously in the top 10, but I have to go with the Ole Miss Rebels and what Chris Beard has going on. Has some really good players transferring in. Obviously, you have a head coach that has the pedigree of getting to Final Fours and national championships. Year 2 in the conference, has some experience. Off to a hot start, and with a win in SEC play, 12-2 on the season, I would expect them, if you want to pick a sleeper, could be the Rebels.
Okay. They got their win over Georgia as Nelson was down behind the play. Oklahoma taking advantage of the 5-on-4.
And a really good Georgia team. Mike White has really taken his program to another level. Some big-time shooters in interior play. Every single game is going to be a high-quality game in this league.
Maybe a foul underneath as Alabama was trying for the alley-oop. A push called on Kobe Elvis. That'll be his first. I know you know this Alabama team so well. You study them, you played here. Is there anything you learned about the team tonight after this impressive performance against Oklahoma?
Well, the impressive thing that I've been able to see is a little bit of play style versatility. Now, obviously, this is a team that can shoot the three from outside. They make sure that they get high volumes of shots to beat you. But you've seen a concerted effort to get the ball in the inside by way of the post-up. They've been taking advantage of some mismatches when they've been able to get them into switches. And not only are they able to score in the paint with that, but it creates the opportunity for kick-out threes. The shooting roles have been high for Alabama in this non-conference slate. Not able to shoot the three-pointer at the clip the way Nate Oates and his teams typically do. But when they shoot good shots coming off the pass, particularly with the inside-outside basketball, now that really lets them to get the confidence going. I think that's a component that this team needs, as well as the tenacious rebounding on the offense and defensive end to make them really compete amongst the elite, not only in this league, but in the country.
Jeremiah Fears, who had 1 point in that first half. He makes them both at the free throw line. He now has 11 points in this second half. Good D by Miles, but Sears too strong. Alabama wanted a goaltend. They will count the bucket.
There's a piece of what I'm saying. When you're a big-time scorer, you have to smell the blood in the water. Mark Sears knows he's coming off that curl, gets his head down, able to get a defender in the air, power up through it, draw the foul. This time, a potential three-point play opportunity.
Goaltending is a call on the court. That play's under review.
Officials back to the monitor with 6:01 to play in the second half. As we take a look at that drive by Sears.
that angle, it might be a clean block.
After review, call has been changed. No goaltending. 2 shots.
Okay, Mr. Hendricks, nice job.
What's my call on the reviews? I might be 3 for 4, 4 for 5 on the night.
Your percentage?
The percentage.
I do not track those. If you want me, I can start. I got your back.
I think I might be 3 for 4. If this was baseball, that's a pretty good average, huh? Hall of Fame?
750.
There you go.
Unheard of.
Wow.
Sears missing the first of 2, an 81% free throw shooter on the season. See if Oklahoma can mount a final push here with 6 minutes to play in the second half.
They might have a little bit left. I don't know if there's enough time to be able to overcome a 21-point lead, but the positive that you've been able to see in this second half, as you mentioned, Jeremiah Fears with 11 points in this second half, his first taste of SEC play.
A lot of length from Alabama, getting another block there. Extra passing. Nelson thought about it on the deck. Bump, no call, but he gets it to go.
That is outstanding recognition. Grant Nelson not settling for that three-pointer. Used a little pump fake to get the defender on his heels. Had a crease to the lane and laid it up.
Nelson with a double-double now. 12 points, his 10th rebound. Hesitation Fears, and he draws the contact.
Good hesitation dribble there by Jeremiah Fears. His shiftiness sets him up to be able to get the separation he needs. Has really good finishing ability around the cup with both hands. But this is a component he has to continue to draw from in these tough games. Not shooting it well, 4 for 14 from the field goals, but getting to the free throw line to continue to give his point production is going to be important as he moves forward in SEC play.
We'll have a women's basketball triple header tomorrow afternoon that begins at noon Eastern right here on the SEC Network and the ESPN app. But we're featuring these 2 games. Number 2, South Carolina squares off against Mississippi State at 2 Eastern. Then number 6, undefeated LSU hosts Auburn at the Maravich Center in Baton Rouge. Should be a great afternoon for women's basketball.
Big time basketball on the women's side all across the board. The women's game, some think, is at an all-time high.
Continues to grow. Love to see it. There's Sears again deciding to get into the post. And he is fouled hard by Fears.
It's a big-time move. The physicality. As Mark Sears seems to be worn out. It's going to take a little breather as he lays there posting up. No dig. There's the support, comes a little bit. Pump fake. Pound for pound. I mean, this is like a squat right here. Just lifting a guy up in the air with you. Takes on the foul.
That's one of those hard fouls back when you played here.
Absolutely. I mean, those are just a common foul. So you don't go and review it on the side. You check it out on the side and keep playing.
Sears now leads all scorers with 19 points. Another free throw upcoming. And there was so much talk around the country about Alabama being this kind of one-dimensional team where they just want to jack up threes, and that's what they do. But they've showed you they have a lot of different ways to get it done tonight.
And they've done a really good job at sharing the ball. I mean, you talk about 16 assists. Mark Sears with 8 of them in this game, flirting with a double-double. So it's not just the shooting that you have coming off the bounce. They do a really good job of penetrating, creating for others. The unselfish play is very important.
Miles with a speed burst, and as he turns the corner, he'll be fouled. Second personal called against Holloway. Even though it's been a tough night for Oklahoma. The veteran guards of Elvis and Miles have certainly showed up.
Well, they have the ability when things break down, but they've been able to use their poise and fundamentals to come up with a quality shot for themselves. But this is a game that I expect Oklahoma to continue to bounce back from. Obviously, they've been playing really good basketball all season long. They now see that there's a different level than what they've been having in the non-conference. And they had a tough draw to have an opening here on the road in Tuscaloosa. But this is something I have no doubt that head coach Porter Moser will get back with his team. They'll work on some things. They'll try to be competitive when they move forward in the next game. And there'll be another team that you won't want to play.
Alabama getting out of the trap. Three ball by Stevenson.
Good job there by Jaron Stevenson, catching that ball in his shooting pocket, ready to shoot it in the corner.
Fears dumps off, up and under. Nice finish for Jalen Moore. And a timeout called by Oklahoma. With just over 4 minutes to play here in Tuscaloosa. We'll step aside and be back after this. The theme for Nate Oates when we talked to him today was aggression. He wanted a lot of his bigs to be a little more active, a little more aggressive. Did you see that out of them tonight?
Well, I think he's been pleased with the way that his team has played. I mean, this is a team that obviously he's had some injuries early on in the season. He's had to make some adjustments. Now, he has a deep roster, but you want to be able to see the contributions come all the way across the board and see what your team can be.
Especially from this guy, Jaron Stevenson, says he can be a little too passive at times.
Well, this is a kid who has tremendous talent. He reclassified and come to college last year early. He's 6'10", has an outside shooting touch. He can have some rim protection ability. He can put it on the deck, but his potential obviously has not been met. It's just a matter of him trying to get the motor going, being a little bit more aggressive offensively and defensively, and finding confidence in that.
Call for the reaching foul as Sears will get another trip to the free throw line.
That's the way you find confidence if you mark Sears. Such a savvy veteran, gets the momentum going. As we said, it's so strong. He gets you on his hip, draws those fouls, gets to the free throw line.
So for Miles, that'll be his fifth and final foul. Checking in for the first time will be the freshman Dayton Forsythe for Oklahoma. Let's take a look forward, Richard, and show you the upcoming schedule for Alabama. Nothing easy in the SEC.
No, it doesn't get any easier. But obviously, you play South Carolina. They're not able to get a win today, but this is a situation you're playing on the road. They'll be ready to play. Lamont Paris and his team does a really good job moving the ball around the perimeter. A little bit different roster than what he had last year, a team that was competing amongst the elite in the SEC.
Fears that step back. That's a deep two. He has been hot in this second half. That is his fifth field goal here after the break.
Well, you see his talent. And before the game, I was able to walk around and see several NBA scouts who were here in the building. They said they're here to look at what Jeremiah Fears can do. This freshman has so much ability to shoot from outside. He's shifty. He has elite end-to-end speed. Now, he's just been able to run into a buzzsaw today, but he's finding his confidence in the second half.
Explosion.
Yes. Plenty of time left. Here's Mark Sears hitting paint again, kicking it out to Aiden Holloway. Another assist, 9 on the day for Mark Sears. A beautiful shot from three-point land.
has done the past 6 years under Nate Oates versus the previous 31. His teams can get up some points.
Well, the play style is something that players enjoy to play. You get a lot of freedom. He does demand defensive effort of you, which in many years he's had some really good defensive teams. You go back to the first year that he had on campus with Herb Jones. He had a top 5 defensive team, as well as some of the championship team in 2022 with Noah Clowney and Brandon Miller, a really good defensive team. This team has not found their way on the defensive end, but offensively, they can fill it up with the best of them from outside.
I'm impressed with the freshman Jeremiah Fears, how he composed himself at the half. Clearly, he was frustrated in that first half with 1 point, but he's got 15 points now in the second half.
He's done a really good job.
Stevenson rocking the rim. Another assist for Sears. He's got 10.
Beautiful read there by Mark Sears.
Will lay it in at the other end. A timeout to get some subs on the floor as the crowd appreciates the effort from Alabama tonight.
Alabama getting out and running. It seems to be having a lot of fun on their way to a victory here in SEC play.
So Aiden Sherrill comes back in alongside, for the first time, Max Skarnowski. If you're Oklahoma, how do you regroup from this, your first ever SEC loss?
Well, this is one you just flush it and move on. This is a situation where obviously you had a tough opponent on the road against a top 5 team that played like a top 5 team. And you have to continue to stay together as a team. You had some moments when they were able to put some things together in the second half, but this is the time that you have to trust your team the most and continue to play as a unit. The hero ball is not the answer when you get in SEC play.
As you can tell the physicality. They will let you bang, and you have to play through a lot of contact.
You're going to have to earn it.
Here's the upcoming schedule for Oklahoma. Up next will be 13th ranked Texas A&M, and then on the road at Georgia.
You get a chance to reset and come home, and that's important. You can see that you have your home fan base. They see this game. You get a chance to go back into your arena, pack the facility, try to get a win to get back to even in the conference play. But obviously it doesn't get any easier. That Georgia team by Mike White is a really good team, playing good basketball. They move the ball around well. Texas coming up recently, so you have to really get it back going, and you really have to make it regroup quickly.
If you are waiting for Texas A&M versus Texas, that game will come up as soon as we are done here in Tuscaloosa. It's the Aggies with an early 6-5 lead. To play here at Alabama. Taylor Jr. picking up his dribble. He'll find the cutting Forsythe. Turnaround jumper. Left it short. And the rebound is Skarnowski.
The crowd loving the rebound. Skarnowski.
Skarnowski to get a shot up. Instead, it's Reed, and his lay-in goes.
And he caught that ball on the move. That momentum that he already had going forward gave him an extra burst to finish at the cup.
Step back for Elvis. And the rebound, Skarnowski. And Alabama can run out the clock. Final thoughts, Richard?
Well, this looks like an impressive win by the Alabama Crimson Tide, and an important win against an undefeated team, an Oklahoma team that is a really good ball club. Struggled, didn't have it today, but I expect a lot from both of these teams.
It is the 5th-ranked Alabama Crimson Tide handing Oklahoma their first loss of the season, 107-79. Just one undefeated team left in college basketball. For my partner, Richard Hendricks, I'm John Schriffen. We are going to send it now to Texas A&M to finish up our incredible opening night here in the SEC. Thanks for joining us.